A mountain man who disturbed a generation of watchers, a Star Wars voice actor, and the man who led the Hunger Games with an iron fist. These are among the actors who have died in 2024. Before making his way to Hollywood, Adan Canto sought fame and fortune in Mexico City, working towards a career as a musician. However, after winding up in the world of commercials, Canto was then cast in the Mexican TV series Estado de Gracia. From there, Canto got his big American break with The Following, a crime thriller series starring Kevin Bacon. He would also appear in TV shows, including Narcos, as well as showing up as the mutant Sunspot in the superhero flick X-Men Days of Future Past. Canto was best known for his work on Designated Survivor and The Cleaning Lady. In the former, Canto played Vice President-elect Aaron Shaw, a politician struggling to restore order in the wake of a deadly terrorist attack that wipes out most of the powerful figures in Washington, D.C. In The Cleaning Lady, Canto played mobster Armand Morales, who hires the titular cleaning lady to join his criminal enterprise. Tragically, Canto died on January 8, 2024, after battling appendicular cancer. The actor was 42. While his filmography wasn't very long, Devid Emge will always have a spot in horror history thanks to Dawn of the Dead. The 1978 horror film is hailed as one of the best zombie movies ever made. And in the beloved splatter flick, Emge played Stephen Flyboy Anderson, a helicopter pilot who memorably meets fate while trapped in a mall elevator. An Illinois native, Emge was born in 1946, and after serving in the US Army during the Vietnam War, the University of Evansville alum got his acting starting in films like The Devil and Sam Silverstein and The Liberation of Cherry Jankowski. During this time, Emge was working at a restaurant where he met horror director George A. Romero. Impressed with Emge, the filmmaker cast the actor in Dawn of the Dead, where Emge would do his best to ward off zombies during the post-apocalypse. Emge only acted in 2 other movies after Romero's masterpiece, 1990's Basket Case 2 and 1992's Hellmaster, but fans never forgot his turn in Dawn of the Dead. In fact, Emge would regularly appear at horror conventions before his death on January 20th, 2024. He was 77 years old. While you probably don't recognize the name Herbert Cowboy Coward, you'll definitely recognize his toothless grin. In 1972, Coward horrified moviegoers with his terrifying turn in Deliverance. Alongside veteran actor Bill McKinney, Coward played a mountain man who assaults Ned Beatty and John Voight, leading to one of the most disturbing scenes ever shot for a mainstream movie.
You got a little pretty mouth, ain't you?
However, Coward wasn't a professional Hollywood actor. Born in 1938, Coward was an illiterate North Carolinian who got his start in the theme park business. He also appeared in various stunt shows, and is also where he met fellow performer Burt Reynolds. Years later, the now famous Reynolds recommended Coward for Deliverance.
You're going to do some praying for me, boy, and you better pray good.
Sadly, Coward died on January 24, 2024, after he was involved in a traffic accident. His girlfriend, Bertha Brooks, and his 2 pets, a chihuahua and a squirrel, died with him in the wreck. Coward was 85. Mark Dodson played one of the most memorable characters in Return of the Jedi. While we never saw his face, we all remember his hilariously annoying laugh. Dodson became a lasting part of the Star Wars franchise by voicing Salacious B. Crumb, Jabba the Hutt's monkey lizard jester who always chuckled at the misfortunes of others. Sadly, Dodson died of a heart attack on March 2, 2024, at the age of 64. The Yellowstone community was hit with tragedy when Cole Brings Plenty was found dead on April 5, 2024. The young actor had played Pete Plenty Clouds on the Yellowstone spin-off series 1923. The character was an important part of the Tiona Rainwater storyline, which involved the horrors committed by Catholic schools against Native Americans.
Is he gonna beat me up?
Maybe.
In real life, Brings Plenty was also the nephew of Yellowstone stalwart Mo Brings Plenty, who portrays Thomas Rainwater's right-hand man, Mo, in the flagship series. Unfortunately, Cole became a suspect in a case involving domestic violence. He was then reported missing, and when police eventually found him in the woods, the 1923 actor was dead. Records of his cause of death were sealed by a judge. When people think about O.J. Simpson, acting isn't what usually first comes to mind. Perhaps those who live and breathe sports will initially remember him as one of the best running backs of his day. After winning the Heisman Trophy at USC, Simpson went on to play for the Buffalo Bills and San Francisco 49ers, before eventually being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Of course, when most people think about Simpson, they immediately recall the murders of the football star's ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman. After becoming a suspect in their deaths, Simpson jumped into his infamous Ford Bronco and led police on a slow-mo chase across Los Angeles. When he was eventually arrested, Simpson became the center of the trial of the century, where his expert team of lawyers got him acquitted. However, Simpson was found liable in a civil lawsuit filed by Ronald Goldman's family, and he also later served time for a robbery involving sports memorabilia in 2007. But Simpson did actually have a Hollywood career. Among other things, he briefly appeared alongside LeVar Burton in one of the best miniseries ever made, Roots. He starred as security chief Harry Jernigan in the landmark disaster movie The Towering Inferno, and perhaps most famously, he appeared in all 3 Naked Gun movies as Detective Nordberg, an officer who constantly gets hurt in the funniest ways possible.
Yeah, Doc says I should be on my beat and as good as new in a week.
Needless to say, Brown Simpson and Goldman's murders killed Simpson's acting career. He died on April 10, 2024 of prostate cancer. He was 76. Born on December 17, 1944 in Backlinie, Manchester, Bernard Hill first garnered attention in Boys from the Black Stuff, a 5-episode BBC drama about working-class Brits in the 1980s. Years after the BBC series, Hill would crash into an iceberg and bravely go down with the ship as Captain Edward Smith in James Cameron's Titanic. At the time, the movie became the highest-grossing film ever made and would win 11 Academy Awards. Only 2 other films have nabbed that many Oscars, and believe it or not, Hill actually played a pivotal part in one of those movies. Fantasy fans will definitely recognize Hill as Theoden from director Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. The British thespian first appeared in The Two Towers as the possessed king of Gondor, who's eventually freed by Gandalf, and then takes part in one of the greatest action scenes in movie history, the Battle of Helm's Deep. Hill would then reprise the role in the trilogy Kappa, Return of the King, which would match Titanic's 11 Oscar wins. Sadly, the actor died early on May 5, 2024, leaving behind an impressive cinematic legacy that fans will enjoy for years and years to come. He was 79.
Hail the victorious dead!
If you're a fan of sci-fi and fantasy, then you've no doubt seen Ian Gelder. The British star appeared in numerous beloved projects, such as Doctor Who, His Dark Materials, and Torchwood: Children of Earth. Perhaps most famously, Gelder starred as Kevin Lannister, the level-headed and well-intentioned brother of Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. Sadly, Gelder was diagnosed with bile duct cancer in his later years, and the actor died on May 6, 2024, at the age of 74. After his passing, Gelder's husband, Ben Daniels, left a post on Instagram, writing, "He was the kindest, most generous-spirited and loving human being. He was a wonderful, wonderful actor, and everyone who worked with him was touched by his heart and light. He coped with his dreadful illness with such bravery, with no self-pity, ever. He was remarkable and will be so missed." In the history of horror, some scary scenes stand far above the rest, but perhaps the most horrific moment of all comes in the opening moments of Jaws, when a young woman is brutally attacked by a great white shark and dragged under the waves, making sure a generation of moviegoers never got back in the water. That poor unfortunate soul, Chrissy, was played by Susan Backlinie, a swimmer and stuntwoman who had plenty of aquatic experience before being cast in Steven Spielberg's landmark movie. Backlinie was a high school swimming champ, a professional diver, and a mermaid performer, making her the perfect fit for a scene requiring comfortability in the ocean. She would later reteam with Spielberg to parody her iconic death scene in the World War II comedy 1941. Sadly, Backlinie died May 11, 2024, at the age of 77. She survived by her husband, Harvey. A Texas Army veteran turned iconic character actor, Dabney Coleman was beloved by friends and family. But on the screen, characters often despised Coleman's character because he specialized in playing bullies, louts, and sleazebags. He broke into the spotlight as corrupt Mayor Merle Jeter in the soap opera parody Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman, portrayed a chauvinistic boss who gets his comeuppance in 9 to 5, and memorably played a sexist TV director in the Dustin Hoffman comedy Tootsie.
Gosh, I'm afraid you're not right for this role, though, honey. I'm sorry. Thanks for coming by.
Coleman also showed up alongside Matthew Broderick in the Cold War sci-fi classic War Games, as well as titles such as Cloak and Dagger and You've Got Mail. Taylor Sheridan fans will likely recognize him as John Dutton's dad on Yellowstone. He nabbed multiple SAG trophies for his turn in Boardwalk Empire, and he was also involved in projects like Disney's Recess. Sadly, Coleman died in his Santa Monica home on May 16, 2024. A towering Hollywood presence, both metaphorically and physically, Donald Sutherland died of an unspecified lengthy illness on June 20th, 2024. The legendary actor was 88, leaving behind an acclaimed filmography filled with all-time classics. Sutherland first grabbed everyone's attention in 1967 with one of the greatest war movies ever made, The Dirty Dozen, which would influence films like Inglourious Basterds and The Suicide Squad. As the 70s continued, Sutherland would star in Clute as a detective trying to protect Jane Fonda's sex worker from a vicious killer. He'd follow that up with the majorly disturbing Don't Look Now and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, two of the best horror movies ever made, as well as the Oscar-winning Ordinary People, where he played a father struggling to keep his family together after a terrible tragedy. Younger audiences perhaps know Sutherland best as a sadistic, calculated President Snow from the Hunger Games franchise.
Let it fly, Miss Everdeen. Let it fly.
Writing about his father on Instagram, 24 star Kiefer Sutherland wrote, "I personally think he was one of the most important actors in the history of film, never daunted by a role, good, bad, or ugly. He loved what he did and did what he loved, and no one can ever ask for more than that. A life well lived."